Welcome back, everyone. The next iPhone we're going to be looking at in the later part of 2021 is the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, what I can tell you about this phone is that, first of all, I think it's still pretty cool. I think it has a lot of capability. It was actually one of the last iPhones to have a home button, which is actually pretty interesting. But when I look at this phone and I feel it in my hands, I really do think that this phone signifies the end of a certain iPhone and the beginning of the next iPhone, which was the iPhone 10. Even though these things are pretty much the same power, same everything, there's very little difference between the internals of them. The difference between an iPhone with a bezel and the iPhone without the bezel and more notch, it is crazy. That gesture-based design really did change up things. And even when I jailbreak like an iPhone 6 and I put that Gestures 10s, which is essentially like a gesture mod for those iPhones, it makes things feel so much smoother. So Apple did a great job with it. And I think with the iPhone 8 Plus, I still think it's a really good iPhone. It has a lot of capability and it's still supported by Apple. But the sad thing is that, the way this phone is designed, it just really doesn't hold up too well. That panel on the front isn't that bad. You have glass on the back, and overall, it's a pretty premium feeling phone. It pretty much still feels like the iPhone 13 in a way. The aluminum frame, the glass on the front of the back, like it feels almost exactly the same. The dual camera setup even. But the main difference is that home button. I like Touch ID, but I don't like having that much bezel on the display. I just don't like having that much bezel on the front. So that's definitely one thing that's kind of aging it. But one thing that's still cool is this phone's still getting software, and there's been two major things with this specific iPhone. First of all, at least for this year, we've gotten the new iPhones, the iPhone 13s, and we got a new iOS update, which is iOS 15. Now, I've compared this iPhone against all the iPhone 13 models, I think, already, and I've actually installed iOS 15 every single beta on this phone for the most part. Now, I think the thing with a iPhone 8 Plus, when I compared it to the iPhone 13s, it handled, pretty much everything I threw at it. It was a very good comparison. Those ones specifically, the 8 Plus and the 13 series, that was a very good one in my opinion, mostly because we're able to see how a phone from 2017 with the home button is still able to keep up with the phone from the latest and greatest generation. The build qualities, obviously the 13 series are better, but the 8 Plus still felt extremely good. The camera on the 8 Plus was not that bad. You had 4K 60 on the back, and although you only had 1080p on the front, it was still a pretty good camera setup for sure. And because they both had iOS 15, it was very interesting to see, a home button iPhone that still was fairly fast, keeping up with iPhones like the iPhone 13s. So I'll tell you, performance-wise, you're definitely getting a decent performing phone. If you have the money, going to something like an iPhone 13 or the 13 Pro, 13 Pro Max is the better way to go. Those are going to be better performing iPhones. But the iPhone 8 Plus, I think, did a great job in that specific standpoint, and I'm actually really happy with the iPhone 8 Plus right now. Now, the other thing is iOS 15. Now, I do want to say I expected more from iOS 15 before they released it. Unfortunately, they didn't give us a lot of crazy features, but we did get a couple of cool things here and there. But during my beta series of it, I don't think it was really too crazy bad because you expect a lot of bugs and things. But even right now with iOS 15.1, it definitely needs some improvement. It's not perfect. There's a lot of glitches and issues still. If you have an iPhone 8 Plus, I'd recommend staying on iOS 14 if you have the opportunity to. But I think with iOS 15, it's going to, Apple's going to iron out all those issues. By the time we get to the end of this life cycle, I think it's going to be totally fine. And the good thing is the iPhone 8 Plus isn't stopping on iOS 15. It's going to be getting iOS 16, and I truly do think it's probably going to get iOS 17, maybe even iOS 18. Who knows? I've always felt like the iPhone 10 is going to match the iPhone 10R and 10s series. So we will see what happens there, but I'm happy about the iPhone 8 Plus, and overall, I still think this phone is still completely worth it. I think it still has a ton of capability. It may not be the most perfect iPhone in the world. It may not have a lot of capability compared to the newest ones, but I'm still surprised how similar an iPhone 8 Plus is to the iPhone 13s. I look at an iPhone 8 Plus and I'm like, this is like a 90% similar to the iPhone 13. The major things that's missing are maybe better camera setup and better battery life, but the gestures is the number one thing it's missing. And I look at the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 13 and they are very similar. It's kind of scary how similar these phones are. So in terms of that kind of covers how this phone holds up in the later part of 2021. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.